I used to tell myself that I'll only check Instagram for 5 minutes, but then 3 hours later, I would look up and I had done nothing that I wanted to get done that day. And all I was left with was a sense of emptiness and wasted time. If you're a young adult who's maybe recently graduated and you thought that you would finally have the time to build your career, build your business, build your life, but instead you're just wasting time scrolling away while others are building their dream life, this video is for you. Because here's the thing, you don't have a discipline problem, you have a design problem. And today I want to share with you the exact framework that has helped me turn my scrolling time into actually building time. My name is Anjay, and about a year ago, I was exactly where you might be right now. I had the degree, I had the qualifications, but I was spending 3 to 4 hours a day on social media, just scrolling my feelings away. And I was feeling completely directionless about my future. And I tried willpower. I tried deleting apps on a Sunday, and they would be back on my phone on Tuesday. And that was my life. Nothing stuck until I realized that I was doing this whole thing wrong. Because the problem was that I didn't lack self-control, or the problem was that I was creating a vacuum. I was trying to remove social media without adding something else to fill up that space. I didn't feel it with anything compelling. I was just setting myself up to fail. And so I developed this framework. And it's not just for quitting social media, it's for transforming that time that you spend scrolling into something that actually builds you the life that you want. And I want to share it with you. Most people start by just deleting the apps. And that's like trying to lose weight without knowing what you're eating. First, you need information. So here's the thing. For the next 3 days, whenever you pick up your phone, I want you to ask yourself, why am I picking up my phone? What was I about to do? And what am I actually doing right now? I want you to write these down, and there's no judgment. Just observing, just learning. And what you'll discover is that you are not just randomly scrolling throughout the day. There are patterns. Maybe you reach for your phone, or maybe reach for Instagram every time you want to avoid a certain feeling. Or maybe you scroll YouTube or watch YouTube whenever you want to avoid a difficult task. Or maybe you just scroll TikTok because you're lonely. These aren't bad habits. They are just coping mechanisms for your unmet needs. And until you identify what need each app is feeling, you won't be able to fill that void with something better. Here's what most digital minimalism advice gets wrong. They tell you to quit cold turkey and just find better things to do, but your brain doesn't work like that. It needs a specific and compelling alternative to social media. So before you change anything about your phone, I want you to answer this. If you reclaimed 3 hours a day, what would you actually build with that time? What is the thing you want to do, but you don't do? And I mean to be very specific, not just, I would improve my career. That's too vague. It could be something like, I want to learn motion design so that I can freelance. Be very specific. And I want you to write down one of these building goals. And the thing is that if you made progress on this thing, how would your life change in 6 months? And if you're really clear about where you want your life to be in 6 months, you will know how to get there. And by the way, this 6 month thing, it's called the Horizon Point 1, and it's a big part of my school community, but I'll talk about that a bit later. Okay, now it's time to get tactical. For every digital habit that you've identified in phase 1, I want you to now create a very intentional and specific swap. And this is not about willpower. And here's how you do it. For example, if in the morning you spend the first 30 minutes of your day just scrolling in bed, you first off take your phone out of the sleeping area. That's a must. Just charge your phone in another room and buy a physical alarm clock. You'll thank me later. But you can swap those 30 minutes of mindless scrolling with working on the goal that you've identified. Or maybe you want to work out. Something that is important to you. For example, I work out every morning, first thing in the morning. And because that is important to me. Because that is the only way I can actually function. And I want you to identify what do you care about that you could swap your early 30 minutes of screen time with. Or if you notice that you pick up your phone when you're transitioning between tasks, maybe what your body and brain is actually wanting in that time, it's some dopamine and maybe some reset. But you can achieve that without social media. Maybe just step outside for a little bit, take a few deep breaths, do 5 minutes of yoga, whatever. I want you to find a more beneficial habits that will help you replace your scrolling sessions. And again, the key here is specificity. It's not enough to say, oh, I want to reduce my Instagram time. No, write down, when I feel the urge to check Instagram, I will spend 10 minutes on building my business. Here is the uncomfortable truth that I learned the hard way recently. You see, the past 5-6 years, I've had a lot of friends around me, a lot of teammates, and it was awesome. But now recently, I've had to do a lot more things on my own. And I've realized that it is exponentially harder doing something on your own than with other people. And that's not because you need to be ashamed or anything. It's just you need to see that proof that it's possible. When you get to day 4 and you are hitting that first uphill battle, you need someone who's on day 30 who's willing to tell you, you know what, it gets easier, you got this, I've been where you've been, you can do this. And this is exactly what community is. And that's exactly why I'm building a community around this exact process. But we'll talk about that a bit later. For now, just know that I want you to find someone to do this alongside you. I want you to find someone who will you can share your progress with, and who will form habits with you. Because I promise you, it'll be so much easier. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I need social media to build my business, or I'll miss out on opportunities, I'll miss the news. And let me just be very clear here. I am not about becoming a digital hermit. I still use social media, but I try to use it intentionally. I try to use it as a tool, not as a coping mechanism for boredom. And so you shouldn't delete everything. Is just ask yourself, is this current behavior serving your future self? And since you're watching this video, I think you already know the answer. When I started implementing this framework, I saved about 3.5 hours a day, and that's over 24 hours a week, 100 hours a month. Imagine what you could do with all that time. I've used it to build and launch my Skool community. I've read lots of books because that's something I enjoy, and I finished my studies. But most importantly, I have stopped feeling like life was happening to me. I started feeling like I was in control, and that is the most powerful thing that can happen to you. So here's the reality. Building something alone is hard, and you'll have questions, you'll hit roadblocks, but you'll need that accountability when motivation starts to fade. And that is exactly why I created the Unscrolled Club. It's a free community, especially for young adults who are, serious about turning their scrolling time into building time. And inside this community, I have a 5-day challenge where you will implement this framework step by step with peer support and support from me. And you'll get daily check-ins, troubleshooting when you get stuck, and you'll get the most important part, that support from people who get it, people who are doing this together. And this is not a course, it's a peer learning environment, community, where we'll figure this out together. And there's no pressure, no judgment. It's just young adults trying to help each other reclaim what we've lost online. And the link is in the description. And if this resonated, I hope you'll join us. Okay, to recap, I just want to reiterate, you don't have a discipline problem, you have a design problem. And the solution isn't to delete all social media and, scroll less, but it's to build more. Because if you build what's meaningful, you will reduce your scroll time, I promise. And I want you to start with the audit, and I want you to identify your building goals and then create those swaps. And if you want to support and you want to make it stick, I'll see you in the Unscrolled Club. Now stop watching this video and actually go build something. I'll see you in the next one.